This is my video log for week 2. My week 2 video log is based around me starting a new project for my supervisor. My new project was to map the inputs and the effectiveness of vessel 410, which is the site solvent trap. Currently, there has been multiple upgrades to the trade waste disposal of the site, and most people are extremely unsure of what inputs feed into the solvent trap or directly to trade waste. The solvent trap is designed to remove xylene from an aqueous stream, but the inputs of other solvents will cause the operation of the solvent trap to be ineffective. After a brief meeting with my supervisor describing me the overall project, goals, and the information he wanted me to get out of the study, I was again sent off to gather the information. Having started multiple projects on the side during my placement, I was comfortable approaching the correct people to find the required information. However, as my supervisor warned me, the project was not to be as straightforward as it seemed. The outcomes from my discovery for the solvent trap project during the week was mainly the continued development with my communication and chemistry knowledge skills. However, the information my supervisor warned me about was beginning to become clear, and there was much more to the project than I originally thought. The main points from week 2 are, firstly, communicating with new employees and receiving different information day to day. Communication with different persons was the first steps of my project. Firstly, I was required to create an overview of the inputs into the solvent trap. As my supervisor warned me, this was to be my first hurdle. Because of the site's constant constructions and recent upgrades to the trade waste, most people were extremely unsure of the trap's inputs. Different people around site had different answers, and although they were right, although they all thought they were right. I was also unable to find an up-to-date engineering drawing after contacting many people. It required me to be in constant contact with multiple people around site, and when certain operations were happening that they thought were feeding into the solvent trap, I was required to walk out on site and physically check for myself. Through the mixed messages received about the trap inputs, I learnt that not everything people say is correct. Sometimes you need to physically view things for yourself and not follow on by people's words. This saw the development of my communication skills in different areas I hadn't previously touched on. Secondly, learning the chemistry and understanding the processes involved with the solvent trap. I was extremely excited about learning the new chemistry involved with the removal of solvents through the solvent trap. Now that my chemistry knowledge is continually developing, any chance to further increase my knowledge I can't let slip past. Contacting the right people and asking educated questions ensured I got the answers I required as quickly as possible. It all helped me better understand the processes involved around the project. Being able to understand the chemistry and in-depth interactions of the solvent trap really benefited my research during the first week. What I have learnt this far during my placement is that you always need to learn the largest piece of the picture possible. Again, my chemistry knowledge skill development has allowed me to better communicate and increase other skills across the board. And finally, completing samples and sending them off for analysis. I was required to collect samples from identified inputs and run different tests. The first test was a gas chromatography or GC analysis, and the other was for total chemical oxidation demand COD. The GC analysis was completed on site. I was required to contact the correct chemist and fill out some request forms for the testing. However, the COD loading tests were to be sent off site. Trying to send the samples off site turned out to be harder than I'd first anticipated. Asking different people and being handballed from one to the next person was what ended up happening. I saw myself quickly becoming frustrated with the way I was being sent around site and had to take a step backwards. I realised that I shouldn't be asking all the people to help me send away some samples. I should just do it myself. Without relying on other people, I was able to successfully send the samples out by Friday. I learnt that sometimes when it is a simple task like sending some samples in the mail, it's just best to do it yourself without asking multiple people who really are unsure of what to do.